Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to install an invisible zipper and also how to do the exposed zipper teeth method. Start by sewing the zip allowance together with a temporary stitch. Then you take it to your ironing board, you open the seam up and you iron flat. After which you measure how far you want the zip to open. You mark that point on your seam allowance, and then you get your needle and thread ready because you're going to be sewing the zip to the seam allowance by hand. And this is advisable because, especially if you're a beginner, because it just helps you, gives you more control as opposed to using pins which you have to take out as you sew. So just place your zip along the crease that was formed from the ironing and just sew down. So keep sewing, keep going until you have all the two sides sewed down by hand, and then you grab your invisible zip presser foot. You need to consider buying this if you don't have one, because this just helps you to get the work done easier. It doesn't get in the way of your zip as you sew, and it's really cheap. I think I got mine for like 600 naira. So it's something you should really consider buying in case you don't have. And then you start to sew. Just go slowly, you don't have to rush things at all. Take your time, using your finger as a guide. Just take it down slowly, take it down, make sure that nothing gets in the teeth of your zipper. When you finish with the first side, adjust the zipper foot. Presser foot is adjustable. Most are adjustable. Mine is. Adjust it to the other side, so this will enable you to sew that side too easily. So the same way you did for the first side. So take your time, make sure you sew it neatly, and when you're done, check your zip to ensure that everything is right. Finish up the rest of the garment by placing the presser foot at the point where your zip seam ended. So from the point where the zip ended, sew down to the hem. And then next is to, I forgot to mention that I always use, for skirts, I always use a longer zip because this enables me to sew down to a point where the skirt is not tight at all, that somewhere around the hips, and I just cut off the excess. So the next thing to do is to finish off the end of the zip after cutting off the excess. And to do this, you can turn with bias or the same fabric you're working with, just like I'm showing you on the screen right now. When you're done sewing, cut off the excess on the sides if you have any, and the invisible zip is all done. Next, you take out the sewing you did by hand. You take it out, and you can press your zip down if you want, but if you're using a plastic zip, of course don't press it down because the iron can melt it, or don't press on the zip, just press your seam allowance down. So now that we're done with the invisible zip, next is to show you how to sew the exposed zipper. So just like we did for the invisible zipper, you start with a basting stitch, which you'll be taking out after your zipper has been installed. Then for this one, you don't really need to change your zipper foot. You can use your normal presser foot, rather. You can use your normal presser foot for this, for an exposed zipper. It works just fine. So you place your presser foot as close as you can get to the teeth of the zip. But the good thing about this type of zipper is that you can have it exposed. You can determine how exposed you want it to be. For me, I like it as close to the teeth as possible, because this just gives me a very neat finish. So when you're done with one side, flip it to the other and sew down. For these two, take your time. You don't need to rush. Just do it slowly so that you have your stitching is straight. And when you're done, flip to the other side, or whichever way works for you, and sew down the rest of your skirt or your top, whatever you're working on, to close it up, like I'm doing on the screen, just the same way you did for the invisible zip. Test your zip again to see how it's looking. So mine looks just right. It opens up easily. I don't think I have any issue with this zip at all. So let me know when you try yours and how this method works out for you. After you've cut your zipper to the desired length, then you take your scissors and use it to cut the zip teeth out, just as I'm doing on the screen. Just cut it out to about 0.75 inches. There's no rule. Cut that part away like that. Now fold what is left into a wedge. Fold it triangularly. And then you sew it in form of a triangle. So that's another way to finish your zip end when you have to cut it. I'll be uploading how to sew a lapsed zipper and a covered zipper soon, so watch out for that tutorial. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next.